There's a strange feeling hanging over the world right now. A feeling that everything is slightly just out of reach. Not impossible, just annoyingly far enough that you have to stretch a little more than you should. And if you're a millennial or Gen Z, that feeling isn't new. It's the background hum of adulthood, like the sound of an old refrigerator running in a dimly lit apartment. You get used to it, but you never stop noticing it. This episode is about that hum, about inflation, about the treadmill slightly tilted uphill, and about the quiet frustration of doing everything right and still feeling like you're stuck in place. Welcome back to Paladin Puffball, where we play World of Warcraft while we dissect the strange world outside this screen. So let's dive in. Inflation is one of those things everyone talks about but nobody really explains. It's like hidden patch notes of real life. Everything changes, but the devs just forgot to tell us. Bread costs more, rent jumps every year like it's doing CrossFit, streaming services multiply like rabbits, and suddenly you're spending more money than you ever intended without even upgrading your lifestyle. For older generations, inflation feels like weather. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's not. They've lived through a lot of cycles. But for millennials and Gen Z, we didn't just get weathered on. We got dropped into a storm during a tutorial that said press W to move forward, but forgot to mention the hurricane that was rapidly approaching. Because here's the truth, inflation isn't just rising prices, it's rising expectations, rising demands, rising minimums. It's the cost of living a normal life drifting further away from what most people can afford. Watch the world long enough, and you'll notice two realities running in parallel. In one world, people say inflation's only 3%. That's not that bad. In the other world, our world, your grocery bill feels like a DPS meter stuck on high crits only. Your rent goes up faster than your paycheck. Your car insurance suddenly costs more than your car. And you're stuck asking the same question every month. How is this sustainable? Spoiler, it's not. But here's the kicker. Millennials and Gen Z are the first generations where the math simply doesn't math anymore. Older generations could work a job, buy a house, raise a family, and still have enough left over to take a vacation once in a while. Now, people joke about avocado toast because we can't afford anything bigger to joke about. That joke hides the truth. Wages stayed still. Everything else sprinted off like a rare mount you'll never see again. Picture a treadmill. A regular one, nothing fancy. Now tilt it. Just a little. Not enough to make you fall, but enough to make you sweat. That's the life for millennials and Gen Z. The treadmill analogy isn't dramatic, it's literal. You work more hours than your parents did. You're more educated, you're more connected, you navigate a world that runs 24/7, not 9 to 5. And yet, you're still behind. Not because you're lazy, not because you're irresponsible, but because the treadmill was tilted before you ever stepped on it. College cost more, housing exploded, healthcare inflated like a balloon animal made at a clown convention. Even your hobbies, gaming, streaming, anything modern somehow became expensive. This generation didn't get a head start. We got a headwind. Here's where the frustration becomes existential. People tell younger generations, just work harder. But millennials and Gen Z are working harder. Far harder than the world gives them credit for. They have side gigs. They do freelance work. They open online shops, 2 jobs, sometimes 3. And because everyone is grinding, it warps the baseline. The new normal becomes consistently hustling. And the moment something becomes normal, it becomes invisible. Your effort is unseen. Your exhaustion is unseen. Your financial stress is unseen. But your expenses, always visible, always growing, and always hungry. It creates a psychological disconnect. You feel like you're failing even though you're surviving on hard mode. That's the twisted magic of inflation. As heavy as all of this sounds, here's the weirdly comforting part. Every generation faces a challenge they didn't choose. Ours just happens to be this one. Figuring out how to thrive in a world that got more expensive than anyone admitted. But every single challenge in human history ended the same way. Not with collapse, but with adaptation. And millennials and Gen Z, adaptation is what we do best. We're digital shapeshifters. We're creative, scrappy, resilient, annoyingly stubborn, and surprisingly optimistic, even when everything is on fire. We find loopholes, we find hacks, we find new ways of living, creating, and earning just to survive. If the old playbook falls apart, we rewrite our own. The treadmill might be tilted, but we're the generation that figures out how to sprint uphill. As we continue wandering through Azeroth, remember this. Life feels weird because it is weird. The economy feels broken because parts of it are broken. And generations feeling stuck doesn't mean that they are doomed. It means that they are standing at the edge of a new chapter. And on this channel, this weird little space where WoW gameplay meets real world conversation, it's here to remind you that you're not crazy. You're not alone, and you are not failing. You're simply living through a strange moment in history, one that generations will study with a mix of awe and confusion. Thanks for hanging out with me in Azeroth today. More rants, more quests, more truth, and more puffball coming soon. Stay steady, stay curious, and keep pushing uphill.